Let's continue, guys. So now I'm going to go in. Let's continue, please. Let's continue, guys. I'm going to go into my pot with the okra, with the chicken now. So as you all know, this was kpomo cooking. So now time to go into it with chicken. So this is it. So as I go into it with the chicken, because the kpomo is cooked to what I want at the moment, it's cooked already. So now with this chicken, they can both cook together very well now. So now I cover. So we were doing this before. You know, someone said they can't hear my voice they can't hear my voice, so I need to end it and then start all over again. I just hope that by now my voice is, clearer now, and that anyone watching me or anyone who will come back to see this video later can hear me now. So what I was doing before, or what we are doing, is we are making okra soup with kpomo and chicken. So the process I used was, I first of all go into the pot with my kpomo. I cooked it because the kpomo is hard, and then the chicken I'm using is soft chicken. So because I do not want my chicken to get overcooked, so I have to go into the pot with the hard one first, which is the kpomo. So it's cooked to what I want, and then as you guys saw when I went into the pot with the chicken as well, so that everything will cook together. Then we proceed. So then I got my okra. This is my okra. This is how I sliced it. And then, I seasoned this kpomo with, I added onion. Yeah, I added onion, I added maggi, and then salt. That was what I used. So if you don't like your onion, like I said earlier, you can blend it, or you can slice it to be too small, into smaller pieces. But me, I eat onion, so I sliced it, and this is what it looks like. This is how I slice my own. So that is how, if you know how you prefer your own to be done, so you do it. So while we are waiting for the chicken to as well cooked with our kpomo, let's get doing with every other things we are doing. Okay, so guys, if you are coming across this channel for the first time, please do go to subscribe to my channel, guys, and please like most of my videos, watch them and stay tuned with me while we make this okra soup with kpomo and chicken. So in this blender, like I said earlier, I don't want to make the okra to get overcooked. Thank you everyone for joining this session. I see all of you. So I don't want this to get overcooked. And then I said earlier, I'm going to teach you how you're going to make it to get half done, or just cook to the level of what you want, so that it doesn't get too soft. So into this blender is, after I slice the okra, the head of it, I added it here into my blender to blend with my pepper. So what that is going to do is that it's going to help to add weight to the soup you're cooking. It's going to make it not to be too watery. Some people, when they make okra soup, out of mistake, it becomes too watery. And also, you need to be very careful while going into the pot with your water, so that your soup don't get too watery when you make it. So that's why you have to start with little quantity of water. And also remember to blend that your okra head. It will help to thicken your soup when you are cooking it. That is it. For some of us that don't like to blend their okra. So like, I don't like to blend my okra, and I love to see it like, it's like vegetable. So I love to see it like this. So that is also another reason why you have to blend the head, to help to thicken it, so that you won't make the mistake of making your okra come out to water after cooking it. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed, guys. Thank you for joining my live section. So our beef and kpomo is still cooking. So this is what it is. For those of you that just joined us, for those of you that just joined my live section, I started with the kpomo first. Reason being that the kpomo is hard and my chicken is soft. So because I don't want the chicken to overcook, that is the reason why I started with my kpomo first. So here in this plate, some people, they cook white okra. So what I'm making is not white okra. I'm going to use oil to it. And this oil, like I said earlier, I fried my stew, and then the excess oil I got from my stew, this is where I turned it into. That is what I'm using to cook this okra. You can as well use it for your egusi. Try this method and trust me, you will love it. If you want to use your okra and your oil, instead of me using red oil now, I'm going to use this oil I got from the stew I fried. And this oil is groundnut oil. It's not red oil, palm oil, no. This is groundnut oil, and because stew is always red, that is the color you're seeing now. So while we wait for the meat to get cooked, and like as I said earlier, you can also use any protein of your choice. You can use any protein of your choice. Me, I'm using only the chicken and then the kpomo. So depends on what you want. You can use fish, you can use beef, you can use turkey, anything you want to use to cook your own, you can use it. So while we wait for the proteins to get cooked, let me tell you people a short story. This was the story I shared in my Facebook, and then because of the community guidelines, so Facebook has to bring it down. So I thought I should share it, some words I'm not supposed to use, which I use. So that was the reason why they have to bring it down. So it goes this way. It's about a lady. She has a 13-year-old. A 13-year-old was a girl who came to stay with her. So she brought the girl when she had her first child. So she needed someone that could help her. She said when she was pregnant, morning sickness and all of that, she was facing too many of that. So she needed someone that would help her. That was why she brought in the girl. So as time goes on, her husband got to defy the girl. So she woke up one morning and she sent the girl an errand. So the way the girl was walking and everything, she has to call her to ask what's happening, what's going on, why are you walking this way? So the girl had to, tell her that Oga threatened her not to say anything. So the woman, as a woman, she has to speak to her to let her say something to her. Then she has to open up that this is what brother did to her at night. That the man did this kind of thing to her at night. So the woman was surprised, took the girl to the hospital, and then the doctor confirmed, yes, that, down there something happened. So she came back home, talked to her husband about, threatening to divorce and everything. So the man apologized to her that it's not going to happen again. So what happened was that she sent this girl back to her parents' house. So she doesn't have anyone living with her again. She's not staying alone. Then, in their neighborhood, there is a girl of 16 years who normally comes around to play with her child. Like I told you earlier, she has a child. So, the child is growing up already. So there's a girl of 16 years who normally comes around to play with her child. So anytime she goes to work as well, or she goes to church, anytime the child is at home, this girl will always come around to come and play with the child. So on a Sunday, one fateful Sunday, her husband was at home, so she went. The girl also came around, so she left them at home. And then she said she went to get something from the market, as God would have it. When she went to the market, she said on her way, she was feeling uncomfortable, she doesn't know how her body, kind of feeling sick or something. So she has to return back home. She turned back home, and then coming back, someone that left the house immediately, and then she has to return. So coming back, she entered into the room. She saw the same husband of hers on the girl again, 60-year-old girl. She saw the both of them together. Then she was, asking, she threatened to tell the neighbors, to tell her mother what her husband was doing to her. So the girl was also begging, and then the husband was begging. It turned out to be that wasn't the first time that this has been going on. So it has been something that happens continuously. And then the husband told her, if you report me, you know the repercussion, the implication of what I did. So if I go behind the bars, who's going to take care of you and then your twin? You know you don't have a job you are doing. So all of these things are things you should put into consideration. So these things are what you should put into considerations before you go to report. So the woman thought of what the husband said, and then she knew that if her husband is being put behind the bars, nobody to help her take care of the children, her twin, and then herself as well. So because of that, and she also thought of, since the little girl of 16 years is not bothered, and then she hasn't told her parents about it, then she could as well continue with her marriage instead of allowing such thing to destroy her home. Instead of allowing such thing to destroy her, so she has to maintain her silence as well. So she also told her family about it, and then the neighbors didn't know about that as well. What happened was, on the day of their child's birthday, her sister is a chef. So her husband suggested that they should bring her sister. Let's check what we are cooking, guys. So this is it. Like I said, always be careful of water. So you don't add too much water. So always be careful so that your okra don't turn out to be watery. Have that at the back of your mind. Let me check if there is salt. There is salt. So because her son, it is their twin birthday, and then her sister is a chef, her husband suggested that they bring their sister to cook and prepare other things for them. So she accepted, not knowing her husband has an agenda. So they had to invite her sister to come over to prepare for to cook and then bake cake for their son's birthday. So the night of the birthday, after everything was done, she said her husband was walking around the house on boxers. He refused to go in. 12 midnight, he was still walking around with a glass of drink, walking around the house, sitting on the parlor alone. And then this wife has tried to, talk her husband in so that they could sleep. Then the man refused. So she went to bed, someone that worked all day, and then she's tired. She needed to rest. Her sister has gone into her own room. Then she has gone into the room. Only the husband is in the parlor. Nobody knows what he was planning. So she heard a voice screaming. When she came out, she saw her husband on the floor, bleeding on the head. What happened? So they had to first of all rush him to she saw her husband she heard a voice screaming. So she came out, she saw her husband trying to force himself on his sister. So he had to take something and then hit him because someone they're working in the toilet where her sister, in the room where her sister is, the toilet there, someone is working on it. So some of the equipment they left there, so she picked it and hit on the man's head. The man fell on the floor. So he started bleeding on the head and was unconscious. So they had to take him to the hospital. So with the help of her sister, they took her husband to the hospital where he was receiving treatment. And then she has to tell her sister what was happening. Her sister was angry, thinking she knows what her husband came to do to her. Because how could they invite her for birthday only for her husband to end up trying to have his way on her? So it became a problem for both of them. So while she was at the hospital with her husband, her sister quickly went back home, picked her things, and then left the house. So she was also upset that she has forgiven her husband of this same thing twice, and then with the story that she has been hearing in the neighborhood that her husband sleeps with a lot of people there. So all these things, she was angry that why would her husband try this on her own sister. Then she forgot that this little girl, that 13-year-old girl that came to stay with her, that she sent back to her parents' house, her husband defied her. And the reason why this 13-year-old girl came to stay with them was because there is no fund to continue with her education and nobody to take care of her. Yes, she came to her house and then she sent her back defied. Is anyone taking care of her at home where she is now? How about her education? Has she continued with her education? What is happening? What is the compensation for what her husband did to this little girl? Or is she that is because he has to do something for this little girl, that anytime she remembered what happened in that house, she has to know that yes, she was compensated for this kind of a thing. But she didn't do any of those things. She didn't compensate the girl, she only sent the girl back to her parents' house. Now she's angry, and then she wants to divorce her husband because her husband attempted the same thing on her own sister. Her family covered up for her when her husband did this thing to a 13-year-old girl. Now it has happened to her own sister. Even her mother and her father, everybody is telling her to leave the man, that he's not a good man. I believe that this 13-year-old girl didn't get a good judgment. For the 16-year-old girl, it is something that she accepted and she refused to tell her family about it. But the 13-year-old girl deserves judgment. Let's check what we are cooking, guys. This is it. So let me bring, like I said, I'm using, the vegetable I'm using is going to be ugu leaf. Some people use different vegetable while cooking their own. I said this on the previous video, but because I started all over again, I'm trying to give a brief to break down what I'm doing. So I'm going to use ugu leaf. You can use any vegetable of your choice, or you can as well choose not to add vegetable. If you use my method, you're going to love your okra soup. You can use, for some people that like to use bitter leaf, it's up to you. Some prefer okazi leaf, it's up to you. Whatever vegetable, whatever leaf you want. Let me get the ugu leaf. It is in the freezer already, so let me bring it out. This is my ugu leaf, frozen. So I'm going to keep it until it's ready to go into the pot. So what we are waiting for is for our protein to get cooked, so we can go in with every other thing we have. Okay, so now so this is it. It's cooked now. I'm okay with this. So what I'm going to do is that I don't want to bring out this beef separate. I'll be cooking directly into this pot. The more I cook directly here is so that every spice will go into the chicken, and then the kpomo. I didn't cook it to be too soft. Remember, I cooked it in a way that even when I'm going in with every other thing I want, by the time they all get cooked, my chicken and my kpomo will not be too soft. It will just be normal. So I'm okay with the level it is now. I will go in with my oil. Like I said, this is the oil I got from the stew, so I will go in with it first. I don't know what pattern you are using. Like I said, if you try this pattern, you're going to love it. I go in with this oil first. So while I go in, I cover it to boil. Cover it for like a minute to boil. Once it boils, we remember what I have here. This is my pepper. This is the, the okra. The head I got out from it, I didn't throw it away. I added it here to help retain thickness of what I'm cooking. So once this boils immediately, I'm going to go in with this pepper and the rest of it. So while we do that, so look at it. In that case, I'm not going to be using palm oil for this. I'm not going to be using palm oil for this because of this oil I got from my stew has already served the purpose for me. But if you got an oil from your stew and it is not enough for you, that is when you can go in with, you can add palm oil, the red oil if you want. So everything I'm telling you is the possible ways you can make your okra soup. The possible ways you can make your okra soup, and then make it not to be too soft. So it's boiling. I want it to boil very well before I go in with this. And of course, everything we need, we have them here. Okay, so I'm going to go in with, so you see, the oil is, look at it. Well, the more it boils, it gets to mix on its own. It will mix with the water, so the oil is not going to be separate. You get it? It is not going to be separate. I don't want it to float. That is why I needed it to boil before I continue adding every other thing I want to add. So I don't want a situation whereby, and I'm sure you don't want a situation whereby after cooking, if you finish cooking, your oil will be separate from the water. I'm sure you don't want that situation. So I'm going to use this all-purpose seasoning as well. I'm going to add just a little quantity into it. You don't want a situation whereby your oil will float on the water on your soup after cooking. So you want everything to mix together. That is why I waited for it to boil. And as you can see, this is what it looks like. This is it. So now, let's add this. Remember, your beef, your chicken, and kpomo is still in the pot. So let's add this. You all know what I have in this blender. So let's add it. As you can see, this is it. So this is it. When I add it, I still wait for it to boil. So we have different patterns of cooking this. This is one of the patterns I use. Next time I'm going to cook okra soup, I will show you different patterns. Use my pattern to cook your okra. You will love it. This is one of the ways I use to cook okra soup. Use my method. You're going to love it. So we have different ways. I cooked okra soup in different ways. Next one I'm going to cook is going to be in a different way, and you will see it. So whenever I'm making okra next time, expect something different. If I'm cooking this next time, expect something different. So I'm going to be showing you different methods you are going to use to prepare your okra, and you will get a good outcome. Different method you will use to prepare your okra to get a good outcome of it. I'm going to show you guys on my next day. I will cook okra. Yeah. Also be mindful of your salt. Also be mindful of the salt so you don't add excess into your pot. So this is it. It is boiling, and this is it. So it's boiling, right? So the reason why we still have our chicken and kpomo into the pot, I didn't get them overcooked. The spice of what I'm cooking, everything is going to go into it. And it's going to get well cooked with my soup together. It will be well cooked all together. So we are waiting for this to boil while we proceed. This is our okra soup. I've not added the okra yet. Did you see it has some like slimy? The thickness, can you see it already? That is because of the okra, the head I blended. Look at it. It has weight already. It doesn't look like just water. Can you see it? It doesn't just look like water only into it. With this way, once I go into it with my okra, it will be thick. It's not going to be watery. So my okra is not going to be watery. So I will still go into it with this onion. We'll turn. So let me see if the salt is okay. So we allow it to boil very well. We allow it to boil very well. Subscribe to this channel you are watching if you have not subscribed. Subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed. Thank you. So once this is done, the next thing we are going to do is to go into the pot with our okra. We'll go into the pot with our okra once this is done. So I want to let it boil very well. You want to check if there is something you want to add to it, maybe salt or maggi, or if possible maybe your pepper or something. So I'm still going to add my tablet, my maggi tablet, into it. Do not forget to spice up your food if you want. Do not forget that if you want. So because this tablet is big and I'm not sure I want to go in with everything, so I'm going to cut it half. If I need to add more, I will add. If I need to add more, I hope you see my pots. I hope you see my pots while we are cooking. Yeah, I think so. So I'll still keep this aside. I put it aside just in case I want to add more. Okay, now I want to add my okra, and there is something I want to do. Because I said I don't want my okra to be watery, if you feel like the water you have already is too much for the okra, the quantity you are cooking, do not forget to always reduce it. Do not forget to always reduce it. If you feel it's too much, you can always reduce it. Just like I'm about to do. Just like I'm about to do. So let's reduce while we continue with what we are cooking. Look at it. The water is slimy already. So we reduce to continue cooking. So I'm going to reduce and then set it aside so that when I go in with the okra and I need more water, I will use this instead of bringing, we already have spice on this, and then the taste of the kpomo and the chicken, everything is here already. So if you feel it's too much, just so you get what you want, you see it, reduce and go in with your okra first so that you know if you want to add it more or not. So I've reduced it. It's time to put my okra. So you see the water into the pot. I believe you guys are seeing it very well. You see how it is. So time to go in with my okra. You see it? And remember, because we do not want it to get overcooked, as I'm going in with my okra, I am also going in with my vegetable, which is my ugu. I am also going in with my ugu. So you see, can you see the thickness is there already? Meaning, if I need more water, I can go back into this pot with what I took out from it. So I'm going in with this ugu leaf as well. Frozen, do not forget, it is frozen. Direct from the fridge, from the freezer. So, and once I put it here, it will dissolve on its own here. So, because I brought it out to defrost. So you see, the okra is thick already, and then we need, if I want to go in with another water. I'll put back what I brought out from it. So I'm going to use a spoon to enable me break this down. Shit. So be careful so that you don't have to do this, you know, when it throws on the floor. So this is it. So yeah, I need this water. I'm going to add it more. So you see, my love, my baby. So this is it. Our okra soup, our delicious okra soup is ready. My baby, I'm coming. Let me wash off my hands, okay? So did you see the okra? It is not too soft. Look at it. It's still fresh. Can you see the okra? It is still fresh into it. Look. So once I'm just going to leave it here for just few minutes because of the frozen vegetable I added. So look at the okra, very fresh. So let's cover it to boil because of this, you know. We added vegetable and then frozen vegetable with this. So I'm going to test it to check if there is something I need to add more before it's ready. So I would still love to go in with this Maggi tablet, but I'm coming, so I'll wash my hands. I would still love to go in with this tablet I brought out. So you see, so stay cover. To check if there is still more thing I want to add. And look at it. Our okra is ready. Just to add a pinch of salt. Be careful with this. Be careful with this so that you don't mess your food up. So guys, this is it. All done. All done. Can you see how fresh this okra is looking? Look at it. It doesn't look like, you know, look at the okra. It's not like, you know, something you cooked 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago. You know, some people will make okra, and when you look at the okra, is like the green color is no more there. It's as if like you have cooked it for how many days now. But see this okra now, very fresh. Can you see it? So I'm done with this. This is what our okra with kpomo and chicken looks like. Thanks for everyone who joined me to make this food today, and always stay tuned for our next cooking section. So So guys, we are all done. Have a taste of what I made. If I can have a way to get it to reach, all of you who join me on this live section. If you're a lover of okra, I believe you love this. So I turn off my gas. That is it. I turned off my gas and that is it. All done. Thanks to all who joined me on this section today. See you guys on next one. Bye. See that? Let me wash my hands. Oh,